Hey friend, welcome to the Badass is the New Black podcast, where our motto is done is better than perfect. I'm Chrissy Chin, here on a mission to help you grow your business online, turn your leads into lifelong customers, and scale to six figures and beyond so you can work less and enjoy and earn a whole lot more. Most importantly, I'm a laid-back wife, a mom, a friend who started as a peds nurse, turned network marketer, and now a serial entrepreneur. This podcast is for ambitious people with an idea, a vision, but no idea how to get there. On this podcast, I'll give actionable steps to keep you moving forward while you learn new business strategies, better systems and processes, marketing, sales, all the things you need to build and scale a blissful business that keeps your pocketbooks growing. Grab a beverage, open up your notes app, and let's get to it. What's up? What's up? Today, we're going to talk about the current trends to grow your social media following. I'll be referring a lot to Instagram today, but I'm also going to maybe mention some Facebook, maybe some YouTube. I thought about calling this episode Content That Sells, What's Hot and What's Not. But really, the point of this episode is going to be diving into social media, talking about what's working, so what's hot, and what's not working, what's not, right? To grow your social following, to get your people to follow you, to engage with you, to take action. Because at the end of the day, we really don't just want a bunch of followers for our Instagram accounts. Like, what good does that do us? We want people that come in, that see us, that engage with us, that stick around, that get to know us, like us, trust us, and then buy from us. That's the only way that we're going to actually really grow our business, right? Is if we can turn that person that gets exposed to us maybe on social media and then turns them into a customer. There has definitely been a shift on Instagram in terms of how they want you to be showing up, what is okay. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what's hot and what's not. Again, specifically a little bit more towards Instagram. Stick around to the end of this episode. I do have a really special invitation for you that's going to take this to the next level. It's going to really help you. I'll just talk about it now. Okay. So like I mentioned, you guys, I'm going to be like high energy all over the place today, but it's fine. We're going to get through this episode. Okay. What was I talking about? Squirrel brain. Inviting you to this special event. So I just mentioned before that we want to get people to buy from you, right? So we do want to take them from social media, we want to get them onto your website. So if you don't have a website, or you do have a website, but you didn't have any professional help with it, maybe it's not converting, then I want to invite you to a masterclass that I'm holding April 12th, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's called How to Build a Wildly Profitable Website. That's important, without knowing a thing about tech. So if you don't consider yourself super tech savvy, this is definitely for you. Come show up. You can save your seat at thechrissychin.com/website-masterclass. Link is below if you're watching on YouTube, or it's in the show notes if you are listening to the podcast. All right. So back to what's hot and what's not. What is not hot right now are perfectly, beautifully curated feeds that don't add any value to your ideal customer. Long gone are the days where you need to fill your feed with professional photos. Can I get an amen? Are we super excited about that? I remember when I was like, I have to get like professional photos for my Instagram so it looks really good. Like, it doesn't matter anymore. We've gone through this phase where it didn't matter in the beginning, and then it really mattered, and now it doesn't really matter anymore. So thank you for answering that request there. People are coming for the content now. So the content does have to be really good. It has to be relevant to what you, who you want to attract and speak to that person. You know, they're seeing the content that you're sharing in their feed or in their stories or on the main section. I don't really know what it's called right now, right? I feel like the names change. With that section where it gives you suggested content, whatever they call that, that's also another place where they see your content. So that's really the first place that they're engaging with it. And if they end up going over to your feed to check out more of your content, there's so much less judgment now based on what it looks like. People just want to make sure that they're getting really good information that's relevant to what they're doing and the solutions that they're looking for, that you're providing the solutions to the problems that they're trying to find answers to, right? So you're just one piece of content standing alone on the feed or on the social story. It doesn't really matter if it fits perfectly in place on your feed. What does matter on that image, that reel, that we'll talk about that, is that first snapshot. If someone comes across it, we want what they see to make them want to click on it or watch more if it ends up being like a still image. Like we want them to engage with it. Or when it ends up going into your feed after the fact, if they then go later into your feed, we want it to stand out. We want them to be able to want to click on that. And we'll talk about that more. So maybe the text on your reel, or again, we'll talk about what a reel is if you don't know what that is, or your image, the text on it has to be enticing. It has to get them to be interested, to want to learn more about what that is. So if I'm sharing 3 exercise to a better butt, then maybe my front screen says a better booty in 3 ways, or my magical booty tips, right? Like something that's going to indicate and share with them, like, oh, I want to click on this. On the front of that image, maybe something where it creates curiosity. So maybe it's not telling exactly what it is, but maybe it's something that really draws them in and they're like, ooh, I want to learn more about that. So the idea is now that if someone finds that little snippet of your content on their feed or wherever, then they will go to your account and they'll look and they'll realize, gosh, this girl or guy is talking about everything that I'm interested in. And so they start skimming your feed of all your different squares there and see the quick snapshot of what that post might be about. So I'm not going to lie. I went to Brock Johnson's profile before recording this podcast. He is a social media guru, Reels. He talks all about Reels. I'll talk more about him in a minute. But after I made my list of all of the things that I wanted to talk about, like what's hot and what's not, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to one of the OG gurus and look at his feed and see if there's anything that I'm missing that I must talk about in this podcast. And so I went to his feed and he does this. And I was like, yes, I'm so glad he's doing this because this was a point that I had. And I'm glad I'm seeing this here firsthand with the one of the masters of Instagram and social media, is that on his little squares. So on his feed, not to be confused with your feed, and not to be, I don't even know. So like when you open up your Instagram, and I call this the feed, where you're scrolling through and you see like people's posts and videos and whatever, I call that my feed. There might be another name for it. If there is, you can tell me in the chat on YouTube. You can tell me if that, but I call that a feed. And then what I also call a feed is like if I go to Brock's page, I'm gonna have to look up the lingo on this to make sure. But if I go over to Brock's account or to my account, I kind of call that my Instagram feed, like where it's my stuff. So anyway, when I went over to Brock's Instagram account and I saw all his little squares, just looking at those top images, which even if it's a video or even if it is a reel, which is also video, again, we'll talk about that in a minute, I can see from his front little photo, cover photo, what it's going to be about. Or he's got something bold, a bold statement there where it makes me want to learn more about it. Okay. So that's what I'm talking about. This square, that front cover photo is enticing for in the future. If it's a video and it's going through the feed, when you're looking at everyone's things and you're scrolling through, looking at everyone's content, the video is going to start or the reel's going to start playing. So that cover isn't as important when it's going through someone's feed and they're just scrolling through content. But when they come over to your account and look at your feed specifically, all about you, then that's when that front screen matters. I hope I'm making sense. People have short attention spans. They're looking for solutions. And so if you talk about let's say energy healing solutions, and someone's coming to your account, they found you, like, oh gosh, this looks amazing, and I'm going to look for different energy healing tips and tricks. We want them to be able to see from a snapshot of your grid. Again, I don't know what we're calling it these days, you guys. I'm really sorry. It feels like I should know. When they're looking at that, we want them to be able to see like, oh, here's tips on, calming with energy healing, or here's tips on, whatever it is, little categories that you have so that they can see if it's relevant. Okay. Ending that topic. Long gone are the days of static photos. Instagram turned into a video platform basically overnight. They really just like to keep us on our toes, don't they? Right? It's like, just kidding. We're not a picture platform. We are a video platform now. It's like, okay, now we have to rethink all of our strategy. And now we have to learn videos, right? So what's hot are Instagram Reels. Okay. Instagram Reels are short little videos, not long. They used to have like IGTV where you do long videos. But now it's Reels are hot. They're short. They started, I think, maybe around 15 seconds or 30 seconds. I can't remember when they first launched it, but it was shorter. Now they've extended it to 1 minute Reels. But what's hotter than 1 minute Reels are 6 to 12 second Reels. So just because Instagram gives you 1 minute to use doesn't mean that you should use that entire minute. In fact, you can get just as many eyeballs or more with a really short, simple reel. Now, my account isn't, I don't have 20,000, 100,000, a million views on my reels, but my highest reel, which is close right now at this point to 9,000, which is like, I'm super proud of, almost 9,000 views. It's about a 12-second reel. And by the way, I'm in sweatpants. My hair's a mess, like in a pony that I slept in that I didn't redo. So as you can imagine, it's like kind of off to the side and my little flyaways are sticking out. Okay. So like, I don't even look very good. And that is like my most viewed. I think it was because it was relatable, and people were interested. It was short, so people were watching it to the end because that's important. That also tells the algorithm people liked this, they watched it to the end, and so it pushes it in front of more people. So that's why the short ones can be really great. People end up watching the whole thing. Speaking of like not looking your best, Elise Myers, it's ELYSE_MYERS. That's her Instagram account. She typically looks like a hot mess. Like, I'm going to call it out. She would probably say that too, but she has over 1 million followers because her content is good and it's entertaining. Her content is basically comic relief and super relatable. So she's great, but she's like, that's part of like her brand, her personality is just kind of be this hot mess with like mostly just her hair. Like, she's great. But she looks like she always like just woke up with bedhead and then recorded her reel, which is amazing. So again, you don't have to be picture perfect on all of these things. If the content is good, if you are entertaining, people will continue to follow you. They'll share you. They will come for anything that you're doing. Okay. Another thing that's hot is consistency. Consistency is still king. This wasn't something that like consistency wasn't a thing before. It is still. Okay. So we still want to be consistent regardless of what platform you are putting content on, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or YouTube. It's better to be consistent. The algorithm likes consistency. It helps start to gain momentum. And then over time, it brings more people to you. All right. So the gurus are saying, speaking of consistency, that you should post 12 to 15 stories a day. If you're like, oh my gosh, I'm like, oh, you should definitely have at least a story a day. Like at least one. You're not going to see 12 to 15 stories on my account every single day. And I know there are certain people like Claire, my sister, business partner in crime. She's like, if I get to a story and I see a bunch of little dots, she's like, I just swipe on by. So there's definitely those people. But I think like the thought process behind it is that you constantly want to keep adding content there. Again, consistency throughout the day to just keep people coming back and looking for more. Think about how many times you open up your Instagram app and are looking at stories or going through stories and whatnot. If you are sharing throughout the day multiple stories, every time someone comes on to their app and are looking at stories and they've been engaging with you, they're going to see another new story. So they're going to be continuously watching you throughout the day. Okay, so that's where kind of where that strategy comes into play. If you can't do 12 to 15, then don't do 12 to 15. Shoot for 1. Okay, we're not going for perfection here in the beginning. We're going for a done is better than perfect. And I just want you to be implementing some of these strategies and knowing, what is hot and what is not. Okay. They don't have to be earth-shattering, value-packed stories, keeping them updated with what you're doing throughout the day, maybe popping in some that do have to do with what you share about. Maybe some are irrelevant. Maybe you share one of your posts to your story. Maybe you share someone else's story to your story or someone else's post. There's lots of ways that you can do this to fill your storyboard with stories kind of throughout the day. Okay. Also, your stories can automatically share to Facebook as well. So that's another way to kind of share the content from Instagram to Facebook and kind of be catching people in both places. What's also hot is talking about and tagging or mentioning other people in your social posts and your stories. So we call it tagging, but when you open up the Instagram app and you hit the little square with the smiley face, it pops open in your stories and there's lots of different options you can do, add stickers, add GIFs or GIFs. There's one that says @mention, right? So we call that tagging or mentioning people. So it's important to mention other people and tag other people. Why is it important to do that? Because likely if you mention someone in your story, they will reshare that story on their story. And then your name is getting in front of their audience as well. Okay. And people purchase based on reviews and testimonials. So if you can give someone a review or a testimonial or say something really amazing about them and tag them, then they will likely reshare that to their story. And so, like I said, the benefit of that is that their entire audience is seeing your name, right? And you say something amazing about them. And then they're curious. They're like, who is this Chrissy Chin person? Like, maybe I want to go check her out, right? And they come check you out and they see your feed and they see these eye-catching things on your feed and oh, I'm interested in this topic, and they click more on it. And then they're like, I want to follow this girl because she's got a lot there, right? On the flip side, if you want people to talk about you, talk about them. If you have students that see you talking about your mentors and your coaches, then they'll see, oh, maybe I should talk about you, right? My mentor and my coach. I don't want to hear, oh, my students don't talk about me on their social, or like my customers don't talk about me on my social, or the products on their social, right? Well, if they don't see you doing it, you talking about other people, you mentioning other people, then they're not going to do it either. Monkey see, monkey do. Okay. Let's dive into Reels. So I've talked about Reels a bit. We're going to dive into that more. Some of the gurus, again, like I said, Brock Johnson, are telling you to create 1 reel a day. And I think that's a great idea. Whether or not it is actually your reality is another thing, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't do any reels. Okay. Take that leap. Just try one. If you need to take a break or like you have to build up, that's fine. Just do what you can. But if you've never done a reel before, I want to challenge you. Your first challenge is to just do a reel. Open up the app, hit that plus sign button, select reel, and just do something that's 5 seconds. Like, it can be bad, right? Like, part of growing and being successful is like showing up and being bad at first. So maybe you've mastered video, you were bad, or like your Facebook lives. You started Facebook lives, you were awful. You've gotten so much better. Now you're going to start a reel. Your first reel is probably not going to be that good. Let's just be honest. Okay. But that's okay. It doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. So that's your first challenge. Just go do a reel. Just like any other content, it can be super, super helpful. One little tip that I have is to save an audio file from a reel that you really like, and then if you have an idea, let's say, when you hear that audio, make a little note in your notes app, a little comment about which audio that is. It is thunderstorming right now. I don't know if you can hear that. Hopefully it's not too distracting. Squirrel brain today, you guys. So if you save that audio on your Instagram and make a little note in your notes app about like, what's the idea that you can do for the reel, so that when you're ready to create that reel, you can come back, read your little note, have that audio saved, and you can create content, like a bunch of reels at once, right? And then that way, maybe you could have 3 reels. Say that 10 times, you guys. 3 reels maybe that week to get you started. All right. Speaking of audio, what's hot with audio is using trending audio. Since we're using video these days, people like to have audio, whether it's music or someone talking. I'm not on TikTok. However, TikTok is definitely a hot place to be. There's also video there. There's short clips over there, but you can find audio that's trending on TikTok, and then most likely it will then start to trend on Instagram, because if it's trending there, it'll flow over and it will be Instagram, because many of the TikTok users are also on Instagram. So if you want to find trending audio, you can go to Trend Talk. It's an app. You would download the app, and that's where you find trending audio. You can find trending hashtags. They do have a free trial, and then there is a fee. I played around with it a little. I've heard people talk about it. I wasn't blown away by it, but it does show you what audio files are being used the most. I prefer to, I'll tell you in a minute what I prefer, as opposed to Trend Talk. Of course, that's a great place to find trending audio. So if you're specifically looking for trending audio, then that is a good place. I'll give you another strategy here in just a minute. What is not hot or okay is sharing your TikTok video to Instagram or Instagram to TikTok with the little logo on it. Okay. So you'll see people's posts that are on Instagram, but then it says TikTok, or vice versa. You created the video. So take that video and upload it to TikTok, and then upload it to Instagram individually, so that it doesn't have that logo. And I'm not saying that you have to be on both. I am not on both. And I just did 144K program launch, and I'm not on TikTok, you guys. And I don't do reels every single day. And I don't do 12 to 15 stories in my Instagram, because I just don't. I don't have the time. I have it dedicated. Sometimes I'm really on and consistent, and sometimes I don't do that many every single day. Okay. So you can definitely be super successful, because I use my weekly content. Hello, podcast episode. I repurpose it. If you haven't listened to that episode on how to repurpose content, I think I did it 2 weeks ago. So you can find that link in the show notes. We'll put it in there. But I use that. I repurpose it. I get my content out. I drive traffic to my freebie on my website, and I sell through my email list. Okay. So there's lots of ways that you can have a successful business. Using social media is one way to bring in more organic traffic. Okay. So don't get overwhelmed and think, oh my gosh, I need to go and do all of these things. Okay. My hope here is that I can just shed some light on, again, what's hot and what's not, what is trending and what's not, so that if and when you are focusing time on your social media, that it is relevant and it's not a waste of time. All right. So back to, I digress, what's hot and what's not. Apparently it's okay to not be super original 24/7. Apparently it's cooler to be on trend than be original at times. So don't be afraid to take that trending audio, that trending drop it like it's hot move that you're seeing these days, and record a reel doing that. The important part is that you keep it on brand and you put your little spin on it, so it does feel on brand and it feels maybe a little bit more original to you. So for example, if I'm going to do the drop it like it's hot video, I haven't done it yet, but I'm probably going to drop it like it's hot in my office. I'm going to drop it like it's hot in my boat. I'm going to drop it like it's hot, maybe on my surfboard, right? I'm going to keep it super relevant to what I'm doing and what fits my personality while doing the trend that everyone else is doing. So do you see how that works? Where you take a trend, but then you put your spin on it to be fit your brand and your personality more. Some ways to get new ideas, or new for you anyway, because I know this is a big challenge. Like, what do I create a reel on? How do I come up with ideas? Okay, so here are some options to how to find new ideas for reels and various things. Follow top accounts that you enjoy their content, and you know that your audience would enjoy their content as well. Maybe they speak to things that are similar to what you do. You can see what they're doing and you can do your own little spin-off. If you haven't read the book Steal Like an Artist, it is a great one. You could probably, I listened to it on audio, and you could do that in maybe a couple days. It's pretty short, but nothing is really original. And that's what the book tells you, how, to steal like an artist. Nothing is original. All the, great people stole ideas from other people and then made their own idea of what it was, their own creation of what their interpretation was. Okay. So you can get ideas from others and then you can go make it your own. Or if you come across an audio that someone is using that you like, when you tap on that reel on your phone, at the bottom, you'll see the audio, and it'll kind of be scrolling at the bottom. Tap on that audio. That's going to take you to a place where you can save that audio. So I mentioned this before, as you're going through and you see an audio that you like, you can go save it. So that's how you save it. You tap on the reel, tap on the audio at the bottom. It's going to open up into that audio file, show you where the audio came from, and then you can hit save. So save that audio. You'll be able to use it later. And then, but here's what can give you some other ideas on how to use that audio. Underneath that audio, you're going to see all of the other videos and reels that people have used that audio with. So you can go in and look to see, like, what are other people doing? What are other creative people thinking of on how to use this audio with whatever it is that they're doing? And you can get ideas there. You can watch all the different reels and then again, make some notes in your notes app about maybe what you want to do or what product you want to feature or share. All right. What's not hot is, I did not put this in my little bullet points and notes to talk to you about, but what's not hot, I'll just add it in because it popped into my head. Not hot is promoting and selling your product literally on every post, reel, story. Like, it's just annoying. Think about the accounts that you follow and that you unfollow, right? If they are just constantly like, here's my product, here's my thing, buy my thing, like, you're going to want to unfollow that person. So they're going to want to unfollow you if that is you. Incorporate free education, like super impactful content that can help them make a difference without them buying your product or signing up for your program. Okay. So keep the content fun, informative, and not just selling all the time. Okay. So that's not hot to be like pitching constantly. There's a time and a place when you're launching a program. There's a time and a place to be like constantly in their face, like, it's time to sign up, the doors are closing, like, here's a special bonus. But then when it's not, it's time to fill your feed and their feed with your content that's just great value adding content. Okay. Get me there? All right. Back to, I digress. You guys, I said it was going to be a weird, crazy day today. Back to ideas on how, or tips on how to get ideas for your own content. Go through your old content and take your best post from a long time ago and turn it into a reel today. So this is a part of repurposing content. Just because you posted it a year ago does not mean it's not relevant now. And likely this is something that you're not doing on your social because you think it has to be fresh and new every single post. But no, you have new people coming to your account constantly. So yes, while someone who's been following you for 2 years might have seen that post before or that reel before, you can still repurpose it, reshare it. So take an old post, one that did well, not one that like nobody liked and nobody engaged with, one that you were maybe even like, oh my gosh, I'm like kind of surprised people like really commented on this. Take that idea and that concept that was maybe a stale image of just a flat image that you used in a long caption and turn it into a reel. Okay, what's hot now are reels. So take that post, turn it into a reel. There's a new idea for you. You can go look at YouTube videos within your niche to get new ideas of what you could talk about. You could dive into the comments of big accounts who have an audience that are similar to yours or an audience that you know, like they're asking questions about the same things that you teach about. Find what people are talking about, what they're complaining about, what they're asking questions about, and then create a reel that addresses those issues. Another way to create great content is also taking someone's comment or question that they had in one of your comments and then creating a reel to answer that question. So if someone was like, how do, like in the comments of something, and they're like, how do I get people to sign up for my email? Then I would see that question in the comments and I would then turn it into a reel, my response and my teaching and my education. I would create another reel and I would say ways to get people to sign up for your newsletter. And then I would like make a reel about that. And then maybe I would even tag that person who asked the question in it, right? So that they knew like, hey, here's the answer to it. Or maybe even tag them in the comments like, hey, got your question. Here's my response, right? So that's another way to create, to find ways to create new content or have ideas for new content. Keep a running list of notes or ideas that pop into your head that you can create a reel on. If you're anything like me, you literally have ideas flying at you like a swarm of bats in your face. Like if you were, that's like the weirdest analogy, right? Like if there was swarming bats like coming at you, like your ideas, and then as quick as they're in your head, they're literally flying out of your head. Like those bats would come at you and then fly away, right? That is like the weirdest analogy I think I've ever given. But the point is, if you're like me and you have lots of ideas, you get them and then they leave. So in order to remember them a day, 2 hours, maybe you're ADD, maybe you're ADD and it only lasts 1 minute, right? 2 hours later, a day later, use your notes in your phone, your notes app, and do a little voice text to remind yourself what that idea was. And like, hey, I could create a reel on this. Here were the thoughts and bullet points to help you remember what that's going to be so that when you're ready to sit down and do the thing, you have those notes. Okay. That's exactly how I came up with this podcast. I literally talked to text like my ideas as I was getting ready one day. I'm obviously not ready to sit down and record. So I'm like, oh, here's this idea. Oh, here's this idea. Oh, this is what's hot. Oh, this is what's not. And then I was able to sit down, compile those, and create this podcast. Okay. What's hot is adding text to your reels. However, you want to make it easy for someone to read. Now they can't, oh, there was a lot of thunder, you guys. And if you're watching on YouTube, you might have just seen a lightning flash. I'm just going with it. I'm going with it today. Okay. So what's hot is adding text to your reels. However, you want to make it easy for someone to read. They can pause your reel, but if you're going to have multiple things popping up on your screen, it's better to have them going from top to bottom that pops up because, or, you know, top to bottom, left to right, that's how we read. Imagine if you were going to have 10 different things pop up at different times and it's like top right corner, bottom left corner, then bottom right, then center, then bottom left again. Like your eyes don't know where to go. And if you're making a quick reel, they're popping up, you know, quickly, right? And if your eyes are like, I have no idea where I'm going, they can't even see what it is before it disappears and the next one happens. So having them pop up one at the top and go down in a row or left to right is going to help the eye read them faster. Like I'm a slow reader as it is, so I need all the help I can get to read what you're putting on your reel and actually read it without having to pause it. So like you got to help a sister out. You got to put it top to bottom or left to right so that it makes sense. But top to bottom is usually good. You can have those texts pop in and out, like come in and out, Or you could have the first one pop in and stay, then add the next one and stay, then add the next one and stay, because maybe they're reading some a little bit slower than others, but then by the end, they have that full list. Another idea for your reel is if you are creating this list that's building on each other with the text on your reel, you could then be like, screen grab the end, like give them that little tip, like be ready to screen grab the end. And then you make this list and then they can screen grab it. Or what you should actually do instead of just telling them to screen grab is save the reel, save the post. Because that's beneficial for you in the algorithm. So scratch that last idea on telling them to screen grab it. Tell them to save the reel or save the post to come back to the future. However, I do know from personal experience, I'm someone who's going to screenshot it and save it to my phone. Okay. And also save it, the reel. Okay. Carousels. Outside of reels, another thing that is super popular and hot right now are carousels. What is a carousel, you ask? That is a great question, my friend. Carousels go round and round. At least that's what I think of when I think of a carousel. So when you think of a carousel on Instagram, it requires you to swipe and swipe and swipe and swipe. So like constantly keep on going. You put basically a tiny bit of information. Carousels are stagnant pictures, so it's not video. So you put a tiny bit of information on one single image, and then you either add text to that, and then you can swipe left, or you can say swipe left. You can add an arrow to the image, like basically indicating and telling them like there's more, keep going. So they swipe, there's more content. They swipe, there's more content. Okay, so that's another thing that's super popular right now and trending on Instagram is using carousels to provide content and getting them to swipe through. You want them to swipe through and swipe through to the end because that counts as engagement, which the algorithm really, really likes. So if you have some great value, break it up, put it in multiple photos, and so that people are swiping through. One tip for adding text to your carousel is not to have it always center aligned. So typically when we read English, you read left to right, top to bottom. Like that's just how we read, right? So if you have multiple lines of text on one image, left align that. Line that up to the left-hand side. It's easier for the eyes to track across and then go down to the next line on the left as opposed to center aligning it. So don't always do center align. If you're doing like a headline or you just have one line of text, like that's a little bit different. But if you do have a lot of text, then left align it because it will just be easier for people to read. Another tip for when making carousels is to leave them a bit hanging and give them more on the next slide. Like, so that requires them to swipe to get the answer or to get the full concept. They have to swipe through. Again, we want them to swipe through the end to cause more engagement. So it could be maybe 5 foods ruining your hormones on the first slide. That tells them exactly what it's going to be about. They either know they are interested or they know they're not. That's what we want to attract our ideal customer. We want it to either attract or repel people. So very upfront, 5 foods that are ruining your hormones. If someone's interested, they're going to start swiping through that carousel to get the information. What are these 5 foods? Maybe on the first one, it is one food. And then on the second one, it's another food. And on the third one, it's another food, so on and so forth. Okay. So they have to swipe through all 5 images or 6 to get those, your first thing and then your 5 foods. I did this recently with a post on repurposing your content. So I did an episode on 10 ways to repurpose your content to reach more people. And then I created a carousel to go with and promote that podcast episode. And so I did a carousel. I also created a reel. You'll get the strategy if you go listen to that episode. But I created a carousel and it was like 10 ways to repurpose your content and reach more people. And then each image had a different way to repurpose. And so they had to swipe through them all to get all of the 10 ways. Okay. Which forced them to engage if they wanted the entire list. The more engagement, the more they see your content. I'm going to keep repeating that over and over. The more they see your content, if it's good, the more that they trust you will lead to buying. Do you see how this works? I hope so. Okay. What is not hot anymore? are static photos with a long caption underneath. Now you put the bullet points, the highlights, the engaging content on the photos or in the reel, or you have them swipe through in the carousel, and then maybe tell them that there's more in the caption underneath, but you keep it short and sweet to the point. Again, people aren't here to read a ton. This is short form content, small bite-sized pieces that you can then direct them to your long form content, podcast, blog, Facebook video, YouTube video, whatever it is. Okay, you could entice them with a reel with some music, and maybe the text pops in and it says like 15 foods wrecking your hormones or destroying your hormones or whatever it is. It's like that shock value of like, oh my gosh, I'm having an issue with my hormones. I really must know if I'm eating these 15 foods that are like wreaking havoc on my hormones. So then you could have, the thought would be initially to have those 15 foods pop into your reel. You can also flip it and spin it to say, so like that pops in on your reel, 15 foods destroying your hormones. And then the next text could say foods, that pops in, and then listed in the caption. So like it's music, maybe you're pointing foods, you're not necessarily saying it, but the text is popping up foods listed in the caption. That's popping up. And then it's like, oh, okay, if I want the foods, I have to go look in the caption. So they've watched your quick little reel, and then they're actually in the caption, they can see those foods there. Okay. That is another option on how to just kind of twist the information and get the engagement there. What's hot to get your people to stop scrolling and read? Adding a hook to your caption. So the caption is the text underneath your post, right? So they can see a line or two in your caption. So you want it to be eye-catching, something like, here are some different hook ideas. I have a secret. Stop scrolling, exclamation point. Or myth. People are curious. They're like, what is this myth that she or he speaks of? Fact. That's another one. It's like, oh, what is this fact? Remember when? People like reminiscing. Okay. Remember when? That's another good hook. Have you ever heard? Well, gosh, I kind of want to know, like, have I ever heard what you're going to talk about? True or false? That's another hook. Or listen up. So there's just some ideas of what you could start your caption with to be more eye-catching, get people to stop and to read more of what you're talking about. Something that catches their attention. And ask yourself when you're writing a caption, look at that top line or that top line or two, at least the top line, and say, if I saw this, would I want to read more? If I saw this, would I know that it's relevant to me? If the answer is no, then consider changing it. Maybe you're just shifting around the text a little bit so that more eye-catching, bolder topic is at the top. So it's very clear what this is about. Am I interested? And entices them to want to read more. Okay, this is like marketing and copy strategy. All right, what's not hot anymore are square images. Not saying you can't use them, but most people are seeing things first in their feed where they're scrolling through and they're seeing lots of different people's content. Well, you can have a tall photo in there, like a 5x4 photo in your feed. It takes up real estate there. So if your image is taking up all of the real estate, that's better for you. Note that if someone does go to your feed, like your individual account with all of your content, they will still see a square. So sometimes it can be great to have that main part. Remember, we talked about before having that title or that little caption or that text on your main photo that tells them what this is about, or it's eye-catching and grabbing and makes them want to click on it, to have that be in your middle square area so that when they do go over to your feed on your account with all of your content, they can see clearly what that is. Okay. But with the picture that's actually posted, if they were to tap on it from your account with all of your content, it would open up into a bigger image. And when they're scrolling through all of the content, everyone's content together on the feed, it's a bigger image. Okay. So it doesn't have to be a square image anymore. So take advantage of that extra real estate. All right. diving into a new topic, some of my favorite people. Now, I'm going to do something that most people don't. I'm going to tell you who my favorite people are to follow to learn more about Reels, about social media, what's working and what's not. Because while I have this one podcast, because it's super important to building and scaling your business, it is not like I don't post every day, all day about Reels and how to create Reels. You might like find some ideas like, hey, grab this audio and use it for one of your products. Like I might do a reel on that, but I'm not like every single day giving you tips and tricks on Reels. Okay. But Brock Johnson is, I've mentioned him multiple times. If you don't know who he is, maybe you know his mom, Shalene Johnson. Brock is her son. Maybe you don't know either of them. That's fine. They're both amazing. So you should start following them. But he's taken this niche of really teaching people how to grow their Instagram and speaks a lot about Reels, and carousels and what's hot, like what's working and what's not working. So kind of an expansion of this podcast episode. So you'll love his content. And find it valuable. Jasmine Star is another one. She definitely found her niche in social media, and she does a lot of videos on transitions for Reels, which I think is super helpful, like Reels transitions. So like for an example, I have a reel on my account, and there was this trending audio, and it's like tick, tick, boom, where you're like if you're listening on the podcast, you can't see me. So you're lifting your hand up for the each tick, then down, tick, and then on boom, you lift your hand up over your face. And that's the transition point where all of a sudden you were what you looked like before. And then all of a sudden at boom, it's like a more glamorized version. So like I had my hair done or whatever. So she'll teach you more on how to do those transitions, and she gives different tips on how to do some cool things for your Reels. Now, I think her TikTok account is literally all about that, like Reels education and whatnot. Again, I'm not on TikTok, but that's what I've heard. So if you're on there, you could follow her there as well. But she's just an amazing person, and super fun to follow. Another person that I love following is It's Me Virginia. She is a video guru. She's hilarious. She has different personalities that she's always bringing on camera. So she's always giving tips on using video to grow your business. I know it's not super typical for people to say like, hey, go follow all these people. It's not because I want you to go follow them instead of me. I want you to follow us both, but it's because they do a really good job at what they do and specializing in this social media posting, social media marketing, space. Every single post that Brock does has to do with Reels and social engagement. Every single post that Hey, it's me, Virginia, or not Hey, it's me. It's just It's Me, Virginia does is eye-catching video content and teaching you more about leveraging video to sell on social. Over here in my corner of the world, I talk a lot about getting your business set up online, establishing your brand, standing out from other people, scaling through automation. And I'm teaching more about, just establishing yourself, looking professional with a website, setting up your website in a way that attracts your ideal customers and grows your email list, because email list is king in my book. If you're just doing social media and you're not building an email list, you are missing out huge on an opportunity to build and scale your business. Because here's the long and skinny on that. You could do something really amazing on your social media, but if you don't know the intention and strategy behind growing an email list so that you can sell to those people and use email marketing to sell to those people, that your business will not go as far as it could. Okay. And I know that you have big dreams, so I want to help you reach those dreams. I want to teach you how to set up your website in a way that attracts your ideal customers. And this is just a snippet of leveraging your social media to attract more of those people. But I want to teach you how to grow an email list. We have to take those people you're attracting on social media. We have to send them to your website to get on your email list so that those super hot leads are coming on your email list and purchasing what you have to offer them. Okay. And I want to teach you how to do it in a way that you can literally be growing an email list and signing up people to your company or have them purchasing your courses or programs while you're out doing the things that you love, while you're out traveling, while you're out creating more content or Maybe you're boating if you're a lake lifer like me. Maybe it's spending time with your family. Whatever it is, I want you to be doing more of the things that you want to do. So I'm here to teach you how to connect those pieces together, like social media, so that you can scale your business with more automation in place. So for example, It's Me, Virginia is going to teach you how to create an amazing video. I'm going to teach you how to drive more traffic from your Instagram video, let's say, to your YouTube channel, to create more, like create that or build that relationship even more over on YouTube or on your podcast and drive traffic to your email. Okay. Because while I do believe that email is king, I'm not stupid. And I do know that you can find great people on social media. I know it's also a place outside of your website where people go to see what you are up to. I was just talking with someone about a partnership with them. And he said, I went to look at your stuff, your website, your social media, YouTube, and I see what you're doing is great. And it feels really aligned. Right. And so people will go and they will stalk you for many reasons and see what you are doing. And so if you have a website, you're set up professionally, you're doing long form content somewhere, podcast, YouTube, blogging, and then you're also on social media to drive more traffic to those places. It's like this trifecta of, opportunity right in your hands. Okay. So social media is also another place to get that organic traffic, again, to drive traffic to your website, to your freebies, to grow your email list. So if you are going to do it, this whole social media thing, I do want you to do it well so that it's worth your time. I don't want you to be wasting your time. We're all about intention, strategy, purpose-driven action, imperfect action here. Okay. So you can go follow these people that I've recommended and suggested, and then you can keep coming back here to learn the strategy behind building your business, how to attract more of your ideal customers and scale with a website and a killer email list. Speaking of killer website and killer email list, I'm hosting a masterclass April 12th. Talked about it at the beginning of this episode. I was going to save it to the end. I just couldn't resist, you guys. Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. It's called How to Build a Wildly Profitable Website Without Knowing a Thing About Tech. So whether you don't have a website at all, you've been paying for a website platform for a year or two, but you haven't done much with it, or you have a site, but you didn't get professional help, no copywriting, design, strategy, it's not really converting, this masterclass is for you, for network marketers, for coaches, small business owners, entrepreneurs. I want you to show up professionally online. I want you to be able to attract your ideal customers and convert them to paying customers on autopilot. And I want you to be able to turn those customers into lifelong customers that buy from you every single month if you're selling a product through an affiliate, or every time you put out a new offering, if you put out a new program or a new course. I want your people to say like, yes, I'm in, I'm buying. Okay. That is my goal for you. That is the strategy that I teach. So in order for you to save your seat for this masterclass, I need you to go to thechrissichin.com/website-masterclass. If you're listening in the future, you'll likely join the wait list for that, or I'll have another freebie up there for you. I think it's called How to Create a Killer Email List That Converts. So that's another one of my fun freebies that you can grab too. So I'll have the links below, but right now, if you're listening to this in real time, go sign up for the masterclass. It's April 12th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That link will be in YouTube in the description, and it will also be in the show notes. It's been super fun hanging out with you. I hope you got a lot of value out of this episode. I would love to know hitting my microphone. I would love to know what strategies you are currently using with your social media, and maybe what strategies I talked about. Tell me this, what strategies did I talk about today that you are not using? And so next time, if you are going to be posting your first reel, you must tag me. I will give you some love and some cheering on. I want to cheer you on in this because I know it's a scary thing to do something for the first time. So I want to send you some love. So if you're going to be posting a reel for the first time, definitely tag me in any of them really. But share with me in the comments over on YouTube, what maybe I talked about that you haven't incorporated. Have you not incorporated carousels yet? Have you not incorporated reels yet? Have you not used a trending audio? Tell me. I would love to know. And if you found value in this episode, definitely share it with a friend, with your business bestie, someone on your team, so that they can level up their social strategy as well. All right, that's it. We'll see you later. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you got some value out of this episode, I would love some support. And the best way to do that, so I can keep showering you with loads of actionable tips, is to hit that subscribe button. Leave a review or a comment if you're on YouTube, and share this podcast with a friend. And when you share it with a friend on social, please tag me so I can reshare your share in my stories. It's been an absolute pleasure hanging out. I appreciate the heck out of you for showing up. And now it's time for you to take imperfect action so you can work less and enjoy and earn a whole lot more.